Hussein. I'm the Executive Director of the Council of American Celebrations here in Minnesota. And we are here outside the Target headquarters in Minneapolis today, making a clear stand and clearing the misconfusion that happened earlier today. The Target boycott, which was founded right here in Minneapolis by us three who are standing in front of you, after President Trump put out a statement declaring a war on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We talked to our community and came up with a plan to go after this corporation. And we went after this corporation for many reasons, but among them was a corporation that not only decided to lead on DEI, but showed that in so many different ways. However, when the murder of George Floyd happened here in Minneapolis, this same corporation once again decided to say they're leading in diversity, equity, inclusion, and made many promises. Many of those promises after nearly 5 years were never fulfilled. Yet this corporation once again decided in the middle of that moment to be the first company, among the first companies to declare that they're going to end diversity, equity, inclusion. Not even other companies that we know that don't even believe in diversity and inclusion didn't even make those statements. Yet Target, who was a leader in diversity, equity, inclusion, presented that to us, became the first company to do that, right in our backyards here in Minneapolis, after this company made so many promises to particularly black and brown people here in the state of Minnesota. We know this company has a history of making these promises, but what took place on February was the initiation of the national Target boycott. And we are not only the leaders of this, we are the founders of this boycott, but this boycott does not rest with us. It rests with the grassroots effort of people across this country who heard the moment that diversity, equity, inclusion was under attack, began to organize, and found Target to be the company that we were going to focus on. And for the past now almost 2 years, or a year and more than a year, we have seen Target stock plummet. We have seen its shares go down. We have seen foot traffic go down. We have seen this company lay off over 2,000 people. We have seen this company fire their current or their former CEO because of the pressure of this boycott. This boycott is wide and across year to go find their diapers somewhere else, find their milk somewhere else, stand up for diversity and inclusion, and go against what this federal administration is doing to Minnesotans and this country. While we already had a Target boycott, while we were already successful, yet again another junction of moment came to Target. Target became a company that decided to use its parking lot as pretty much ICE feeding grounds. It allowed ICE not only to roam in their parking lots, but it allowed for its employees to be taken off of the front doors of Target Corporation and Target Company. And that assault on our community in the midst of one of the worst attacks against Minnesotans by this federal administration with ICE raids that still continue on today, even though we have seen a significant drawdown of those numbers, Target became a center in the fight against the fight for corporations to respect the Fourth Amendment and to protect their employees and their customers. And Target chose to stand with Bovino and Kristi Noem rather than standing with Minnesotans. And guess what happened to Bovino and Kristi Noem? Both of them have been de-iced and fired as of the fact of what they did to Minnesotans and U.S. citizens. Today we are standing in front of you here today because a group of people, a pastor in Atlanta and others, who started a 40-day boycott while we started a 40-day fast, where we started a national boycott, which ended, by the way, after those 40 days, claimed to have now settled with Target. What we have just learned today is that Target has said they have not made a single concession, they have not made a single demand or change to their policies, and they are staying the course on their plan to continue to deny diversity, equity, inclusion in this company. What happened today is nothing but the reality that we are winning. Target just put out their fourth quarter numbers on March 3rd, and it was abysmal. Target struggled significantly compared to other companies, which shows not only their stocks are no buy at this moment, but this is a company that is struggling significantly. What was also interesting during the ICE raids is that more and more people who may have not fully seen or impacted in their role in the Target boycott have joined this boycott. And we are calling upon all those people. The Target boycott stands. The attack on diversity and inclusion still stands by Target. Nothing has changed today. This is an effort to try to turn or use people, and we have seen that before in history. We have seen boycotts before where people claim to speak for the community and all they do is cross the picket lines. We have a history of people who have crossed the picket lines when people organize in an effort to hold companies and corporations accountable. What happened today is sad to those individuals, but it's also a liberation to all of us that Target is continuously struggling. Target is now below water and struggling to even maintain its stocks. And that is why they are trying to announce this. Don't be fooled. The Target boycott continues. It continues because the demands have yet to be met. And it continues because we are winning. And today is another sign, another milestone. What we anticipate and what we demand for people is to continue to do that. For a year now, you have found to shop somewhere else. For a year now, you have found that you could win. And for a year now, a major corporation in America does not know how to address it. Even today, Target acknowledged that the boycott is working. They've also acknowledged the fact that they have lost sales because of the direct action of this boycott. We are winning in this moment. We need everyone to stay strong. And Minnesota, we have shown that we can do when we come together. Nothing has shown the rest of the country other than the fact that in this moment when the federal administration came for us, when ICE agents came for us, Minnesotans bonded with each other, stood next to each other, and made a significant difference for this country. Once again, we can do that again. And so today, I am telling you, the Target boycott continues, not because of anything else, but because we are winning. And do not be fooled or confused by those who have been bought before to once again. But we are not bought. We are community embedded leaders who understand the reality of this moment. And that is why we are asking you to stay the course. And now I'll turn it over to Dr. Nakima Ledwars.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us here today. I am here to reiterate what Jailani Hussein just said, and that is that the Target boycott continues.
Listen!
We do not care what headline the Star Tribune in Minneapolis in front of the Target headquarters with my daughter, my 8-year-old daughter, in the picture, along with Ms. Rosemary Nevels, who is an elder and an organizer in our community. So the Star Tribune used a picture of my child to try to legitimize a false story. Neither of the three of us, the actual founders of the Target boycott, were quoted in that article. We were listed in passing as local organizers, when in fact, we are the ones who called for a national boycott of Target Corporation that began on February 1st of 2025. And from the beginning, we said that the Target boycott would be indefinite unless and until Target took the steps to address the fact that they rolled back diversity, equity, and inclusion in order to capitulate to the Trump administration. Because as you all recall, in January of 2025, once Donald Trump took office, he immediately began attacking Black history and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as Jailani said, Target was one of the first companies in the nation to bow down to the Trump administration. And many of us felt betrayed because Target had been seen as a hometown company that had invested in our community. But once they capitulated to Donald Trump, they showed their true colors. So we announced the boycott, and then shortly after that, we found out that Target Corporation had actually donated $1 million to the Trump-Vance Inauguration Committee. They had not done this for any other political campaign in history. So for them to do that showed their true colors. And then, after we dealt with Operation Metro Surge, which might as well be called Operation Metro Fascism, we saw that Target allowed the federal agents, the ICE agents, to stage in their parking lots. They allowed Greg Bovino, who was in charge of Border Patrol, to walk through Target as if he owned the place. And even some of their staff members, U.S. citizens, were accosted and arrested in the lobby of Target by federal agents. So Target has not taken a stand for the people of Minnesota or the people around the country, many of whom are people of color, many of whom are women, many of whom represent the LGBTQIA community. Target chose a side. They chose to stand with Donald Trump, fascism, tyranny, and authoritarianism. And we, the people, chose a side. We chose to put people ahead of profits and to encourage people to find other places to shop, which we are grateful that folks in Minnesota and around the nation have done so. Many people on the post I put out today saying that the end of the Target boycott was a lie, commented on my post saying, I am not returning to Target under any circumstances, saying that their families have found other places to shop. They have cut up their red cards and they're not going back. I am not going back. Think about the fact that through our actions with the National Target Boycott, which in fact is seen as one of the most, if not the most, successful, sustained economic boycotts in American history, outside of the boycotts that were occurring in Alabama during the Civil Rights Movement. Think about the fact that people around the country made a decision to hold this company accountable. Even the daughters of the founder of Target spoke up in the LA Times saying that Target does not align with their family's values and the purpose behind establishing Target. But think about the fact that through our efforts, we were able to help oust the previous CEO of Target, resulting in him having to take a significant multi-million-dollar pay cut, and that was Brian Cornell, who, as the CEO, decided to bypass the local leadership of the Target boycott, and who did he go to? Reverend Al Sharpton, who had absolutely nothing to do with the Target boycott. And they met, along with so-called pastor from Atlanta, Jamal Bryant, to try to end the Target boycott. Now, we had a conversation with Reverend Al Sharpton recently because his leadership is part of the reason that we got here. But Target decided to hire from within, which is another problem. They hired Michael Fidelki. Michael Fidelki has been with Target for a very long time. Michael Fidelki knows the leaders in this community. Yet, once again, he chose to bypass local leadership who actually launched the Target boycott to meet with a pastor from Atlanta who has zero credibility, who has lied, who has tried to co-opt our boycott, who started a 40-day fast over a month after we launched the Target boycott. That 40 days came and went. And what did he do? He hired a publicist. He went to the Roland Martin show. He went to the Breakfast Club. And he went to CNN pretending to be the leader of the nationwide Target boycott. We called him out then, and we're calling him out now. But the reality is that Target knew he wasn't the leader of the boycott, but they knew that he could be bought and sold. They knew that he would agree to end the Target boycott without any of the demands being met. He's claiming that 75% of the demands are met. But first of all, the main demand, the reason we launched the Target boycott, has not been met, which is the fact that we asked Target to reverse its decision to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion. That has not happened. So this Target boycott is not over. We are asking people continue to stand with grassroots leadership in the state of Minnesota, where Target is actually headquartered, and not cloud chasers, not fake pastors, not fake activists trying to co-opt our work. These people have received awards from the National Association of the NAACP and the Route 100 for our work.
Listen!
So they have no credibility. They don't speak for us. They didn't stand in the gaps for us when George Floyd was killed or when Operation Metro Surge happened. We stood for us and with the community. We speak for us. And we will never sell out our community for crumbs or a seat at Target's corrupt table. So we are asking people, continue to double down and hold Target accountable. The boycott continues. Thank you.
I'm Monique Cullers-Doty, co-founder of Black Lives Matter Minnesota, and also co-founder of the National Target Boycott. I echo the sentiments of my two other co-founders. And I do have to say, I want to make sure that Target hears and understands that there is no light at the end of the tunnel for Target.
Listen!
Jamal Bryant was not your light at the end of the tunnel. So let's be clear about that. Jamal Bryant is not a factor in what we do, in the work we do here, along with his two comrades, were they Nina Turner and Tamika Mallory, basically modern day Three Stooges, who tried to come in and co-opt the work that we did here after receiving a media release from a local activist, after asking to meet with Nakima Levy-Armstrong to talk about what we're doing and why, and then they tried to get ahead of what we're doing. And they are absolutely incompetent to move this forward. So it's time for them to step aside anyway. It's been past time for them to step aside. But what we need right now is for the country to understand that the Target national boycott continues, and we need everyone to continue to hold the line for accountability for Target Corporation and for DEI. We want to make sure that we are getting ahead of the false narrative that was put out by the Tribune today, saying that the national Target boycott has ended. I don't know why Jamal Bryant thought he should have a press conference about this.
In Washington, D.C., because he knows he can't step foot here.
I don't know if he bumped his head. I don't know if he never had good sense. But I can tell you this. I see why a man walked into his church
Listen!
to tell him about himself.
Yes.
So, Jamal Bryant, you need to get your house in order before you start worrying about what we're doing here in Minneapolis. Jamal Bryant, it is an absolute shame and a disgrace that you continue to try and take credit for work that you have not done. You continue to try and put yourself in the center. So now that you think you've ended it, please just step aside. Go somewhere, reflect on your actions. And I don't know what his church is and who the people are there, but I hope you wake up. I hope you wake up and look at your leadership and hold him accountable as well. Because one thing we do here in Minnesota, we work with integrity and we do it in honesty. And we started this boycott because we understood what the principles of diversity, equity, inclusion mean and who they apply to and who they affect, and that's pretty much everyone. So we want to make sure that we have our minorities recognized. We want to make sure we have veterans recognized. We want to make sure that women are recognized. People with disabilities are recognized. We want to make sure that the LGBTQ community is recognized. So as people are spending money at Target, why should they continue to do that when Target has no appreciation for them and who they are in their life experience that puts them in a specific category under DEI? Target would be happy to take that money, but we want to make sure that they continue to suffer. We know that they had a series of serious layoffs, including C-suite officials. Target, the numbers do not lie. You are not faring very well, and there's not going to be a turnaround. So in addition to the demands that Dr. Nakima Levy-Armstrong mentioned, which have not been met, we are also standing with I'm sorry, I just forgot his name. Mahdi Ali. We are standing for the freedom of Mahdi Ali, and Target Corporation played a large part and sending alleged so-called experts to testify about his case. He was a teenager. Now he's a grown man. He's still in prison. So this boycott will never end as long as Mahdi Ali is incarcerated, and not until he is compensated by Target Corporation. And I also want to add that we have done investigations into this particularly unicorn riot, that Target Corporation was paying Amy Klobuchar office as Hennepin County prosecutor by the convictions, in which time Amy Klobuchar, who's now will be running for governor of Minnesota, increased the incarceration rate for black boys and men by 600%, and it is estimated there are probably 200 people still wrongfully incarcerated under Amy Klobuchar's reign of terror. Mike Freeman also, yes, Mike Freeman was actually involved with Mahdi Ali, but Target was responsible for the wrongful incarceration of so many black men and black boys. There needs to be held accountable. They need to be held accountable. We need to continue to hold the line. Do not shop at Target under any circumstances, and continue to watch their stock plummet, their sales plummet, and store closures. This is what accountability looks like, and we have to continue to hold the line, because DEI is important, because DEI makes us be inclusive in places where people would be left out and excluded. So we want to make sure that we continue to say it loud and say it proud that DEI matters, not just in Minnesota, but in this country. And we want to make sure that companies continue to hire people from diverse backgrounds. We want to make sure our communities accept and relate to people from different backgrounds, to see that people are beautiful in their own way. We should not be turning our back on someone because they're different, or we've not known someone like that, or didn't have an experience with them. Every life that's here is valuable, including our immigrants. Solidarity to the immigrant community that's been under attack. So now I will turn it over to co-founder of Black Lives Matter Minnesota, Trayvon Cruz.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you to the founders of the Target Boycott, Monique Fullers-Doty, Lakeem Levy-Armstrong, and Jelani Hussein. This is one of the most effective and longest-running boycotts in American history. The February 2026 job report showed a surprising decline of 92,000 non-farm payroll jobs, indicating a stalling labor market. Black unemployment jumped from 7.5 to 7.7% as of February 2026. Significant job losses in federal government, over 277,000 since January 2025, heavily impacted compared to the relatively stable rate for white workers, indicates a strengthening uneven labor market. Gas prices have surged 20% in the last 11 days. Anti-black policies and racism, the status quo's anti-black and racist policies and procedures continue to have a drag on the American economy. And when we talk about the status quo, we're talking about the status quo in Washington, D.C., that's in the White House. More than 400 college campuses have eliminated DEI. How will this impact our future workforce? Will this diversify our future workforce, or will it make it more white? 20% of corporations have slashed DEI programs. These anti-black racist policies and procedures are the reason why no jobs are being created in the United States. These policies and procedures are why black unemployment is on the rise. And these policies and procedures are why the Target boycott must continue. Thank you.
Now we'll take some questions. Before that, I wanted to add that it was reported by USA Today that Target has not made any concessions. Target has not made a single concession in any of the for the ending the boycott. They declared no concessions of anything. So no reversal in diversity, equity, inclusion, and no commitments to anything else. So what happened this morning was a a failed attempt to try to end the boycott with absolutely nothing, even for the community at this moment. So we'll open up for some questions.
Quick question. Why did you all think Pastor Bryant decided to try to hijack what you all have been doing about the Target boycotting?
So the question is, why do we think that Pastor, in air quotes, Jamal Bryant tried to hijack the boycott? I would say number one, because he lacks integrity. That's the first reason. But beyond that, he saw an opportunity. As Monique said, once we launched the boycott and we put out the press release about this nationwide boycott of Target, this was in January of 2025. During that time, a local organizer reached out to me asking me to get on a call with Tamika Mallory and other national organizers who said that they wanted to support our efforts regarding the national boycott. When I got on the call, Jamal Bryant was one of the people on the call, and so was Nina Turner. And there were some other folks as well who were on the call. And it became clear to me after a couple of calls with them that Jamal Bryant had a completely different intention. So in between calls, he set up a website called targetfast.com. And he said that he was launching a 40-day fast, launched at the faith community. So for the 40 days of Lent, that he would ask them to abstain from shopping at Target. And I was puzzled by this because I said, how can you launch a 40-day fast when we've already launched an indefinite Target boycott? Excuse me. And I raised the question of what is going to happen after the 40 days, because I didn't see how a 40-day fast was going to be effective at holding a company accountable. And he didn't have an answer for that. But the reality is that we saw what happened after the 40 days. The 40 days came and went, and in between that time, he set up interviews with the Roland Martin Show, which is led by an African-American man, the Breakfast Club, which is led by African-American folks as well as CNN. And he went on those shows, and he intentionally positioned himself as the leader of the Target boycott. Now, this is while his so-called 40-day fast was going on, right? And so we should go back and do the research. Media should do the research, because you can see very clearly that at the end of January of 2025, we called for a nationwide boycott of Target. His 40-day fast began in March. And again, it was limited to 40 days. So how did 40 days turn into him being seen as the leader of the nationwide Target boycott? The other reason that this is so important is because of the historic erasure of black women on the front lines. If you look at what happened during the civil rights movement, when Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on that bus, the emergence of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But it was the black women organizing behind the scenes that helped that become an actual movement that we still look to this day. Many of their names we do not know. Their faces we don't know. Their stories we don't know, because they've been effectively erased by the media, by the men in charge, and throughout our history. And we're not going to let that happen again. We're not going to let a two-bit fake pastor hijack a movement built on the blood, sweat, and tears of the people of the state of Minnesota, trying to hold and who have held a hometown company accountable for its actions. So people need to know, Pastor Jamal Bryant is not the leader of the nationwide Target boycott. Show me anything of substance that he has led that has to do with civil rights and racial justice. Because as things were unfolding and people started to realize that he was lying about being the leader of the Target boycott, then he tried to boycott Dollar General, one of those stores, and it went nowhere.
It did.
Because he never had the moral authority to call a nationwide boycott to begin with, nor does he have the leadership capabilities. What he has is a publicist who has connections to media. So let's be clear about what this is. And what we have is a long-standing track record of fighting for freedom, justice, and equality on behalf of our community. So when we call for a nationwide boycott, it actually means something. We're actually boots on the ground standing for something. We're not willing to sell out our community, to rub elbows with people in power. And Michael Fidelki should have known this. And one of his first acts as the new CEO, you get a big F, Michael Fidelki. Because you are a part of the problem. You keep talking about having employees smile more to bring back customers. Bringing in more partnerships to bring back customers. And all of these superficial things that you have decided will help bring back customers. Well, I'm going to tell you point blank, Michael Fidelki, those tactics will not work. Reverse your decision to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion. Reverse your decision to capitulate to the atrocious Trump administration with all of the harm that they have caused. That is who you and your board has decided to align itself with. A tyrant. You don't represent the values of the people of Minnesota or the people across this nation, Michael Fidelki. So you need to have several seats, just like Brian Cornell. And Target needs to put in authentic, genuine leadership who will actually listen to the people of this community and to shoppers who feel betrayed by its actions. So the question is, do I want to meet with Michael Fidelki and tell him my demands? I would have no problem meeting with Michael Fidelki. But we made very clear from the beginning that the only reason that we would meet with Michael Fidelki is if he had an intention to reverse the decision to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is why we have not had a meeting with Michael Fidelki. He's meeting with other people who are going along with his shenanigans, who he knows can be bought and sold. So he's trying to go around local leadership because he knows that we're firm in our demand that they reverse their decision to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion. How can you call off a boycott, focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and have no results to show for it? That's a slap in the face for the people. But who's standing here? The people who actually called the boycott. The people who are actually willing to hold this company accountable and not willing to compromise with Target Corporation until they do the right thing by the people of Minnesota and the people across this nation.
Yeah, because they are cooperating with Target because they have provided nothing. Target just said today they have not made a single concession. What does that sound like to you? That sounds like somebody who has nothing to do with the Target boycott. And the fact of the matter that Brian Cornell and Michael decided to go outside of the founders of the Target boycott is a great example of the fact that they know what our demands are, and we are. I want to add to the point because I believe that many people in Minnesota are still reeling from the trauma of ICE. I don't believe there's a single company like Target that allowed for its employees and its customers to be targeted by ICE. Target became a hunting ground for ICE. Bavino felt more comfortable in Target than in any other company. That is the reality of who Target is. Target is struggling. This boycott is winning. We are winning in this moment. This is a moment where we are asking the entire country to double down. So many people have connected to Minnesota and heard about our stories and heard about how horrible ICE was and how ICE targeted and killed our neighbors, shot them directly in the face. Well, I want you to know the corporations that stood silent, the corporations that aided Target, aided ICE, and it is Target. This is why we are calling for this moment to double down and continue the fight across this country, and particularly here in Minnesota. We will be hopefully sharing with you soon more actions and more efforts that we will to show the public that we are not only continuing this fight, but the heat is going to be bringing on because it's warming up here in Minnesota. There's a lot of time for us to do a lot of good work. We got tired of ICE, but we have been ready. And more people are now more prepared to come outside and do what is right for their neighbors. And we are asking to stand with your neighbors by standing against Target at this moment.
I will say that to your question, why would he end the boycott or try to end the boycott without Target making any concessions? I have to ask the question, what did he get?
Listen.
He must have gotten something to do it. I don't believe he did it for nothing. He didn't do it out of goodwill. So there possibly could have been a transaction directly to Jamal Bryant. I'm not saying that's based on anything, but what would motivate him to end the Target boycott and put himself out there knowing we would respond, knowing he's going to look like a fool, basically knowing he looks like an attention whore. So that's the problem, okay? Why he's always out here. He is an attention whore.
So I reached out to the Steve Grove, who is the CEO of Target. Once I saw the headline, I saw the story, I saw my daughter's picture holding this sign, I was livid. And I let Steve know I'm utterly disgusted by the actions of one of your reporters. Because I talked to that reporter multiple times last year. And I let her know very clearly what was happening with Jamal Bryant trying to co-opt the boycott in our work in Minnesota. So she was very well aware when she wrote that article, and I can only think that she was trying to help Target. I don't know if the Star Tribune runs ads by Target, but from my perspective, she lacked journalistic ethics and integrity by writing that article and not including the founder. She referenced us in passing as if we were irrelevant. And like I said, we're the people who actually founded the boycott. And so since that time, she sent me an email saying our editors want to include a statement from you. I have not responded to that because I feel that they need to redo their entire article and tell the truth. Someone said that they tried to change the headline as well. And even as I was arriving here, someone had posted a comment saying that they changed their headline to say a national leader calls for an end to the Target boycott, as opposed to what they said before, that the Target boycott has ended. That's still not good enough. And I had to keep reminding her, we are national leaders. First of all, we may be based in Minnesota, but we are national leaders. And our call for the boycott reached people around the country and around the world. So we are tired of our local mainstream media discounting and downplaying the work of local organizers who also do national work and who are known nationally. That's like calling Prince a local musician. When you think about the fact that people know him nationally, just because he lived here doesn't mean that his work is confined here. So that's something that she and others need to understand. We are national leaders. We call for a national boycott. We're not going to stand for this erasure. And the Star Tribune needs to do better. They need to stop siding with Empire. They need to stop siding with corporations that are not doing right by the community. And they need to report the truth or pack it up and go home.
So you're leading a number of the people, and we also know you're being targeted for peaceful protesting inside of a church, and churches and pastors have come up here. Do you feel there's any relationship between that in terms of retaliation? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
I would just say that, so basically the question is about two of us being a part of the Righteous 39, and that's 39 of us who have been maliciously charged by the federal government for a protest that happened inside of City's Church. And I would say that when you think about the actions of ICE during Operation Metro Surge, the fact that Target rubber stamped that, they bear some accountability as well. Because they were, again, one of the first companies in the nation to bow down to Donald Trump and his administration instead of standing up for the people of our community, for people who embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion, for people who are from diverse backgrounds. So I do see it all being interconnected in terms of people who are standing up against the Trump administration being targeted and retaliated against. And the fact that too many of our companies, including Target, want to sit on the sidelines and expect us to keep shopping there without being accountable to the people of this community. So that's how I see the two being connected. Any other questions?
How long has the woman been doing journalism? The one that you have cited questions to?
Carson Herson?
Yes.
I'm not sure how long.
Okay.
But I know that what she did was extremely disrespectful and unethical.
Yes.
Again, I'm looking at a picture of my 8-year-old daughter holding a sign outside of Target headquarters for our press conference. And yet you attribute the so-called end of the Target boycott to somebody who doesn't even live in the state of Minnesota, has no connection to us, whose leadership we do not follow. Didn't reach out before writing the article, which is absolutely absurd.
Okay.
So I'm just disgusted, by Carson, by the Star Tribune, by those media affiliates that did not do their homework and that ran with the narrative that literally makes no sense. If Pastor Bryant had any real influence, then we would have seen a nationwide boycott announced from Atlanta of a company in Atlanta, because there's plenty of them that capitulated to the Trump administration. But where are the receipts? Where's your influence? You didn't have any. You had to connect to our work to try to be relevant. And I'm hoping that other faith leaders will do better and will hold their brethren accountable, because it's unconscionable and it's unacceptable. Any other questions? Thank you all for being here and covering this. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you all. Solidarity and respect. Thank you all, everyone, for tuning in to our Listen Media community. I really appreciate you all. Thank you all very much. Life may not be perfect. Life might not be good. Here's what's happening in your neck of the hood.